Welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at a game or demo of Rallycross 2 that was released on the PlayStation way back in 1998. This is actually a sequel to the original Rallycross game that was also released the year before in 1997, also on the PlayStation 1. And this here game offers up some improvements over the original game. There's a lot more tracks and variations of tracks within the game. There's also a different selection of different types of cars. They're more kind of realistic and they're kind of more modelled and shaped of actual genuine cars compared to the first game. Now, the first game in itself was actually a really good game. I actually have done a previous video on it. I'll make sure I leave a link down in the description where I've done a review on it as well. And I remember my first experience with it was originally on a demo as well. And I did enjoy it, but it was difficult. It was a difficult game. A very difficult game to master. But when you did get the hang of it, it actually was enjoyable. But again, it definitely offered a really good challenge. And honestly, by playing this here, and my first experience with this here was also on a demo as well, similar to this one. And again, it also offered a very unique challenge as well. It was definitely a bit more fluid compared to the second one. It definitely felt like it handled better, but it's still, at the same time, the handling was faster. It did feel a little bit more on the twitchy side, because the first game definitely was a wee bit slower in terms of the speed of the game, whereas this game definitely is a little bit faster. Now, it wouldn't be as good as, say, other rally games that came out at that period of time, especially if you compare it to the likes of Colin McRae Rally, which itself is more simulation, but that's a totally different game in itself, and it's a lot more realistic. This here offers up a more arcade type of experience. So with this demo here, you get access to one track, and you have a total of 2 cars that you can drive with. So I've just chosen pretty much the first one that actually came up, and it's decent. From what I played of it, I remember actually, like I said, I did actually really like the first game, even though it was very difficult to play because it was quirky and it was different. It was a different take on the likes of rally games, and this one here tries to offer up a lot more of the same. Whether it's as good as the original game, it varies pretty much on different aspects, but it definitely offers something very different. It has a unique playstyle like the original game, and there is definitely a lot of cool physics in terms of, like, say, the bumps and the jumps and stuff like that. And you can actually hear the suspension of the car rattling around as you're going over the jumps. That was one of the cool features I actually loved about the original game. It felt very authentic, even though it was arcadey, but it actually had realistic elements in it as well. And that's what a lot of these games do tend to take away from what lacks in one game. In another game, actually, well, there's certain features in it that would be in it that's not in another game. And that's what was pretty cool. And again, like with these type of games back in the days of the PlayStation, that's why the likes of older games on older consoles, there's so many unique kind of concepts, because developers were exploring different kind of ideas. And even though there was limitations on the hardware, don't get me wrong, but what they were able to create, regardless of whether they were able to execute it well enough or not, it doesn't really matter, because what they were able to produce with what they had was actually quite incredible. They were able to make games that did look, even though not as polished as some others, but they still made really good looking games that actually played really well. They were difficult to play, and like in this here an example as well, similar to the first game, but they were all unique in my opinion, and that's why I always regard the PlayStation console as pretty much my most favourite console ever, because there was so many different styles of games. Even the likes of here with racing games, they all offered something different. Like, no 2 racing games on the platform were the same. Every single one of them were very different in terms of what was available, say game mechanics, play style, cars, tracks. The PlayStation really had so many of them, and as I'm playing a lot of these games and I'm recording these videos, for me it's insane, because there's way more games out there that I'm actually starting to see and even get the chance to play now these days that I never ever experienced, and I didn't even know existed before. So the way I see it, for me it's a fantastic opportunity to not only relive those old classics, but also to really get involved with a lot of these older style games. And I highly recommend that anyone out there that's a fan of the PlayStation, that likes racing games, or even just in the console in general, I highly recommend that now is a really good time to start exploring a lot of these games, because it's interesting to see where you see the concepts for modern games, where they got the ideas from, and you will find that by playing these older type of games, because again, they're still just as playable today as they ever were. I just love that whole graphical style of the PlayStation 1, the 32-bit era style graphics, because they were able to put out so much, even in terms of the limitations. Like when you look at the level design, and I think, in my opinion, right, games are definitely a lot more polished today, don't get me wrong, and they better sound quality, better style graphics, but they don't capture your imagination somewhat. Now, I could be wrong on that. Again, today's games appeal to a totally different generation, but I know in my generation, and when I go back to playing these type of games like these here really appeal to a lot of people. A lot of people played these type of games, a lot of people enjoyed them, and still enjoy them even today. And now with modern technology, we do have the ability to be able to play these games and actually bring them to whole new audiences, so there's absolutely no excuse why you shouldn't actually get the chance to actually play these while you can, because you can get access to them now, and you can always get access to them in copies online as well if you're into retro games collections as well, so there's absolutely no excuse. So I highly recommend that you try, if you can get a copy of the demo or even the full game of this here, or even the first game, I definitely recommend that you actually check it out and see what you think for yourself. So that's it for this review of the Rallycross 2 demo for the PlayStation 1. What are your thoughts of it? Did you actually play this demo back in the day, or did you play the original game? And if so, what did you think of it? Did you enjoy it, and did you find it as difficult as I did to play back in the day? Because it was a difficult game. Regardless of whether it was a demo or it was the original or the actual full game, they were both equally as difficult as the other. So make sure to share your thoughts down in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to be updated whenever I release future content, as I will be exploring more games like this in the future and sharing my thoughts and views on them. And as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.